Welcome back to Royals Weekly. I am your host, Marcus Mead, and joining me as always, a man I suspect might be a lichen, my brother Mike.
Okay, so I'm not like a virgin like you, so please explain, what is a lichen?
I believe a lichen is basically a werewolf.
Oh, you're right. I am a badass werewolf. You're correct.
Well, they're never really portrayed as badasses. They're portrayed as people who are covered in hair and out of control. Very similar to yourself, except for the hair thing. You're like a balding lichen, like a lichen who's gone to seed. That sort of thing. Anyway, welcome to Royals Weekly this week. We got a lot of fun baseball stuff to talk about because, it's been a winning week for the Royals this last week. So we're riding a little bit of that kind of high. On this week's episode, we're going to dig into that last week and talk a little bit about winning Royals baseball. And then we're going to talk about some big changes we'd like to see from the team to ensure that they have a shot at the playoffs. And then we'll preview this week's game, another important couple series on the road for the Royals this week. We do want to remind you first, right off the bat, to go ahead and subscribe to that Royals Weekly Substack. We're putting out extra episodes twice a week now with our Wednesday episode, and then Mike is usually coming out with an episode on Fridays, and then I come out with a written piece every weekend, and sometimes I just throw in extra written pieces. It's a lot of content lately on that Royals Weekly Substack. So if you're getting into the Royals, if you really want to dig into baseball season, it's a great way to get the most in-depth analysis you're going to find this side of the internet. And I think it's a great value at $5 a month. Today, somebody in a comment, suggested that Michael Garcia is a Royals Weekly Substack subscriber because he's doing exactly what we asked him to do by pulling the ball and having success doing it.
Yeah.
So,
did you see how much they were shading him away in the outfield?
Oh, it was crazy. That's what it should have been at least a triple into the right field gap, except they shade him so hard to the opposite field, he can't hit a line drive into that gap. It can't be
Never.
done.
Yeah.
But he can hit a bunch of them into the left center gap and down the left field line. And so keep pulling it, Michael. It'll keep working, I promise. $5 extra a month, and you get to learn what the next Royals hitter turnaround will look like. I do want to go ahead and also throw out that you should rate and review us on every podcast platform you can. Most especially, give us a review on Apple Podcast. I got one to read for this week. It's great. We love hearing them. We like to read those Apple Podcast reviews here on the episode. So make sure if you have the capacity to rate us on Apple Podcast, go ahead and rate us on there. Give us 5 stars, write a little review, and we'll go ahead and read that review here on the episode. This week's review comes from somebody calling themselves Twins Dad 18. Now, you might be thinking, oh, that's just their dad. I promise you it is not Mike and I's dad. Mike and I's dad left before we were born and then died when we were 18. So it better not be him or we're all in trouble. Yes, but it is somebody else who maybe has twins of their own, which is great. And the title of the review is Great Royals Podcast. It says, these guys are a great listen for Royals fans. They are informative, have original content, and are usually pretty entertaining. Usually pretty entertaining is what we're going for. I recommend 100%, even if they can't pronounce Canna or Lorenzen, which is, as you know, two of the names that give Mike and I trouble.
Can't pronounce Canna, and I can't say Lorenzen correctly.
I can't. Canna, that's a tough one. I'm going to try and work on it. But thank you so much, Twins Dad 18. We really, really appreciate it. Everybody be more like Twins Dad 18. Go out there, fill out an Apple Podcast review. Let us read it on the air. We love sort of the response from you all. We think it's funny. We'll start the review of last week with roster news like we typically do. Not a ton of roster news this week, but there was one kind of important tidbit on the roster front. Actually, there is another piece of roster news. I'll bring it up, but we don't have to necessarily talk about it for very long. Mike, the big piece, Nick Loftin was promoted from AAA today with Tyler Tolbert going on the bereavement list. We send our condolences to Tyler Tolbert, and hopefully everything is working itself out with his family, but he is on the bereavement list. Nick Loftin has been promoted to the Major League team. Didn't play today, but he might see some action in the next few days. What are your thoughts on Nick Loftin coming up as Tyler Tolbert takes a few days off to grieve?
It'll be really interesting to see if Loftin gets an opportunity to stay up once Tolbert comes back, or if he immediately goes back to Omaha. I think that'll be something very interesting to see. I kind of thought we might see him in today's game as a result of, him just being called up right then, but they chose not to. So I don't know if that really says anything about this, but, feel for Tyler Tolbert. Hope he's doing okay. But I'm interested to see Loftin in the lineup. So hopefully in this Tampa series, we get to see Nick Loftin because I haven't seen much of the new approach. I want to see what he looks like taking at bats. So good to see Loftin up even under these not so great circumstances.
Yeah, I'm a little bit doubtful and skeptical he'll get much playing time, just because if you want a guy to get significant playing time, you don't necessarily bring him up for somebody on the bereavement list, usually that only lasts for a few days, and somebody is back, from to the team from off that bereavement list. And so I'm skeptical he's going to get any sort of actual chance here at the major league level with this stint, but he should. Frankly, this offense is scuffling so bad, they need to try whatever they can to get more guys on base to ensure that they can be offensively productive. Lofton's big progress as a hitter has been that enormous walk rate that he's lugging around in AAA right now, something like 25%. And they're giving Waters a shot to do it. They're letting Waters play virtually every single day, and he's been pretty hot for the last week or so. Why not give Nick Lofton a shot to do the same thing? There is evidence, there are indicators that Lofton might be more productive long-term than Drew Waters will be. And so why not let him give you another boost in the arm or another shot in the arm offensively when you have a lot of guys who can really, frankly, be rotated out right now? Like we're going to talk about some of those guys throughout the episode, but that you can think of all the names of guys who are not really consistently producing here for this offense right now. Give Nick Lofton a shot. Let's see what it looks like. It's not really going to hurt anything right now because there is no way to go down from some of the hitters
from guys
in the
hitting
lineup,
170. That there's no down from.
There's no down from that. There's no down from a weighted runs created plus under 50 and stuff like that. Like some of the Royals are rolling out right now. And so, yeah, sure, give it a shot. See what happens. Perhaps Nick Lofton's inability to hit the ball that hard will sink his potential as a hitter, but we don't know that. And we don't know that he won't be able to translate the on-base ability to Major League Baseball yet. And so he needs an opportunity to prove himself, and a legit one, not a, hey, you're going to get to hit in the lineup for 2 days until Tyler Tolbert comes back. I think that's not really doing him any favors as a prospect or as a potential player. It's not doing your offense any favors either. Another tidbit that I didn't put on the outline, Mike, but Evan Sisk was demoted to AAA, and Jonathan Bolin was kept on the major league team after the doubleheader. He was the 27th man for a doubleheader, was sent back down essentially, but didn't actually probably leave, and then came right back up. And so the Royals are playing back and forth with Jonathan Bolin and Evan Sisk right now in terms of just to fill innings and that sort of thing. Right now it's Bolin. It wouldn't surprise me if it's Sisk tomorrow or whatever, but we'll see if those two sort of spend a lot of time rotating between Omaha and Kansas City. On the field this week, the Royals breathed some life into a fan base that wanted to swallow a fistful of Prozac to start the week. They went 5-1, bringing their overall record to 14-15, right back in the thick of average. Mike, what do you think, or what did you see out there that sort of stood out to you on the field last week?
I saw a team that's doing anything it can to try and find quality at bats and pitching their asses off, honestly. The starting pitching was unbelievable, and the reason that they won most of those games, especially the 2 games in the Houston series, they are shuffling guys in the lineup, moving Vinny back, letting Waters play. They're trying a little bit to do things here and there to create some offensive production. It just none of it's worked. I shouldn't say that. I don't know that they necessarily win the games. They win all the games of the Rocky series and one of those 2 in the Houston series without a Drew Waters. He does add something to you, the little bump that you get from him, the little bump that you get from Canna coming back, even though they didn't let him hit it all this week. Those things I think add a little bit. They just need so much more to become a consistent offensively performing team. Now, we did see some really good things. I think there's some good things to take out of this week. Sal looked really good in both series. He had a good week. We'll talk more about that here in a second. But the pitching was so good that it didn't take hardly any offense to have a strong week. That's not going to be the case against teams that have offenses that are truly firing on all cylinders. Because the Astros offense, and I went over this on the Mike's Drops episode last week, the Astros offense is struggling mightily right now. They're not the Astros offense that we think of from last year. Yordan Alvarez had a big game today, but he's been not very good. And the guy that they brought over to kind of fill Kyle Tucker's shoes, Christian Walker, he's been really bad. And those are the 2 middle of their order bats that they need. And so it's great to get the wins because you have to have them, but we're still seeing the same issues.
Yeah, for me, it's like the pitching is buying the hitting time right now. Like they're just not very sure what they want to do offensively in terms of, what are they going to have to do to actually get a lineup out there that can be consistent. They don't have the answers right now, and they may not have the answers until they can actually acquire someone at the deadline, or they may not ever have the answers this year. It will always be on the pitching primarily on this team this season because they don't have the horses to really do it offensively. And so, yeah, the pitching carried them to all 5 wins this week. They got lucky in the sense that they were facing some bad offenses. And so, Lugo shined, Waka shined, they had great performances from various people, and then the bullpen did quite well as well. And so the pitching really carried the hitting, and then the hitting got a little bit more contribution from some guys like Waters and, some guys who were sort of outside that heart of the lineup. And then Salvador Perez started to hit. Hunter Renfroe had a few hits this last week. I think he had an OPS in the 700s for the last week, which isn't great necessarily for just a week, but is way better than he has been doing. And so you're seeing small little additions or contributions here and there as they sort of try and round into form through the heart of their order, which, as we've said the entire time, is really the thing that's killing this offense. Like, yeah, it's bad to not get contributions from Hunter Renfroe and MJ Melendez when he was there and stuff like that, but it's killing them to not get contributions from Vinny Pasquantino, Salvador Perez when he wasn't hitting, and Michael Massey. That's like truly killing their offense. Mike, we just talked about this guy. Who was your strong performer for last week?
Oh, let's talk some Salvador Perez, because we mentioned when he was scuffling big time that most of the indicators were that it was just a stretch of bad luck. His expected numbers were much better. His bat speed was still good. The exit velocity was still there. So he went 8 for 19 this week with 5 doubles, and a couple of those probably would have been home runs on warmer days.
Don't you love it when players prove us right in some way?
Yeah,
like it's my favorite thing.
Doesn't always happen, which is,
happens not as often as I would like, for sure.
But he had 5 as a doubles machine, 5 doubles, 3 runs, 4 RBI, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. He seems to be a little bit more patient at the plate, and that's usually when we get these offensive explosions from him, when he's able to lay off those breaking pitches down and away, and when we see a good stretch of lefties. He hit Framber Valdez really well in that game that we won in the game 2 of that Astros series. So great to see that from Salvi, desperately needed, but even that by itself is not going to be enough. We've got to get some of those other guys going.
Yeah, and we got to get players who are the best offensive contributors we have performing in the most important moments. Bobby Witt Jr. has been awful with players in scoring, with runners in scoring position, and awful with guys on base because he's pressing and swinging out of his shoes and all that sort of thing. And I get it. You're Bobby Witt Jr. You're the best hitter in this lineup. The rest of the lineup is terrible. And when guys are on base, you feel like you have to come through because nobody else is going to. Well, that's not the right sort of mindset for somebody who's actually going to produce offensively. And so great for Salvi having a great week this last week. It really sort of pushed them back into, near 500 territory. But we need to be talking about the pitchers really for our strong performers because they're the ones who carried the ship here. So I'm talking about Seth Lugo. He's my strong performer. Just went out and pitched an absolute gem of an outing. In the first game of that Astros series or the last game of the Rockies series? Yeah.
First game of that Astros series.
Went 8 innings, gave up 0 runs, 3 hits, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts for Lugo. And while the Astros lineup is not hitting on all cylinders or firing on all cylinders, it's a good lineup. They have talent in that lineup. And so to go out and put out 8 innings pitched, no runs, 8 Ks is really impressive. Lugo, if you remember last year, Lugo started out kind of slow with strikeouts as well. And then after 3, 4, 5 starts, really started to kick it in, striking guys out. You're seeing the exact same pattern this year. Like, he wasn't a big dominant strikeout machine for the first few starts, kind of had solid to average outings. And then now it's looking a little more dominant when he gets a chance to go out and strike some players out. It's really great to see. And mixing pitches, doing it the way Lugo does it, mixing pitches, limiting damage, just having a really smart think around a lineup. And it's something that's going to pay dividends for the Royals the entire season if he can stay healthy.
I don't know if you listened to Mike's drop this week, but
of course I did.
In the last segment, I did give out 2 picks, actually, and one of them was, if you can find Seth Lugo over 6.5 strikeouts, make sure you take it. And look what we got. We got 8 strikeouts from him, and then my under pick hit as well. So thank you, Seth Lugo, for making me a winner, basically for the first time this year.
Brag. Brag from Mike. Yeah. I did listen. I did hear both of those, and actually, I commented to Riggs like, "Boy, Mike's scuffling with these gambling picks, but I think he hit 2 today, so that's good." Mike, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, especially offensively. What's going on with your weak performer this week?
The exact same thing we've said is going on his whole career. Michael Massey is too aggressive, and he can't hit when he does that. He's 3 for 19 this week, 0 extra base hits, 3 RBI. That's the kind of the highlight. No walks and 2 strikeouts. Came up with opportunities and just could not do anything. It's hard to watch him take a plate appearance a lot of times. Now, there was 1 or 2, I think, that in this Houston series that was a little better, so maybe there's an indicator of a turnaround, but it's not. Here's the thing. If you're going to have that aggressive of an approach, you better have 70 grade power. Okay. Or you better play gold glove level defense at a premier position.
Or have because, like a 70, 80 grade hit tool like Jacob Wilson does.
Yeah. Or like Alcides Escobar was the one I was thinking of. Like he was that aggressive, but he played gold glove caliber shortstop and he could put bat to ball. Like, I mean, he didn't swing and miss all that much. Yeah, it's just hard to watch Michael Massey go up there and consistently do this. We're going to get into it a little bit more here in a little bit, but it costs this team big time, especially when he's a guy you're relying on to hit 5th. And you're in this lineup, you're relying on him to be a big time producer, and he hasn't done anything for you.
Yeah, it's a tough disposition to have towards hitting, to be so swing heavy, if what you want to do as a hitter like Massey does is pull and lift the ball. Like Massey is one of the best, has one of the highest pull rates of any Royals hitter. And last year it was the highest pull rate of any Royals hitter at over 50%, because he understands that to maximize his power outcomes, he has to pull the ball to right field pretty consistently. He has enough power to have good power outcomes if he's pulling the ball. The problem is, if you're real swing happy, you're not forcing the pitcher to come into the areas where you pull the ball best. And so what do you end up doing? You end up swinging a lot of pitches outside and popping them up or rolling over on them or hitting a lot of weak contact. And it's like your quality of contact is just bad. Massey can avoid strikeouts for the most part, usually, but it doesn't matter if the quality of contact you're putting in play is also virtually an out every single time. And so, you know, it's not a great disposition to have. It's not a great approach to have if what you're trying to do is lift and pull the ball. My weak performer this week is somebody everybody's going to expect in this
a regular punching bag,
yeah. and
in more ways than one.
And I almost feel bad for him because, you know, as a professional athlete, I'm sure you're doing whatever you can to be successful and all that sort of stuff. But eventually all of us fall off. Like there is just nobody has success forever, especially when it comes to relief pitchers. Chris Stratton, who is my weak performer for this week, looks completely cooked. It looks like his career is basically over. He went 1 inning pitched last week. They only let him pitch once because they absolutely do not trust him in any way. They let him pitch once. That was today. He went 1 inning, gave up 2 earned runs, 3 hits, 0 walks, 1 K. He's just way too easy to hit. He cannot throw pitches in the strike zone that in any way confuse or keep hitters off balance or anything. They are all over anything he throws inside the strike zone. His stuff is just not good enough anymore. And as a result, he is, you mentioned, he's everybody's punching bag. You send him out there, and it's interesting. He went in, I think, with 4-0 when he went in. And then when he came out, it was 6-0. The Royals would go on to score 3 runs, or 4-1. Sorry, you're right. When he came out, it was 6-1. The Royals would go on to score 3 runs. But imagine if it had stayed 4-1 and they went on to score 3 runs. I know Zerpig ended up giving up a run too, but essentially Stratton made the game not competitive in some ways, right? And so you need somebody at the bottom of your lineup who can, to some degree, hold the line and give your offense more opportunities to get back into the game. He is just not that right now, and the Royals have to be looking to offload him, I imagine. Mike, in a week that was very successful in the win-loss column, what is your theme for the week?
I went with one that we've actually done before, but I don't know if we've done this part of it. It is a classic, by the way. It is the Al Pacino monologue in Any Given Sunday. If you've seen the Oliver Stone film of Any Given Sunday, the Al Pacino monologue, to me, is just a classic. It's a
It's
legendary
one of the great monologues in film.
delivery by a legendary actor. And the whole speech is essentially about how life is like football and it's a game of inches and all this stuff. But I took this part because the Royals, the struggles on offense mean that their margins for victory are insanely small. Like if you don't get an outstanding pitching performance, you lose the game. That's just it, right? Your offense is giving you absolutely no wiggle room. And so here's what I went with, and I'm going to do my best Al Pacino here.
Do it.
All right. I mean, 1/2 step too late or too early, you don't quite make it. 1 second too slow or too fast, and you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second.
That was a very good Pacino. That was a very good Pacino.
I got a Pacino.
Well done.
Thank you.
I felt like I was watching the movie.
I got to go watch that. Just that monologue. I won't watch the whole film. I got to go watch the monologue after this.
Excellent film throughout, honestly, beginning to end. But that monologue is definitely the highlight of the movie.
Yeah.
Well done. Yes, it makes perfect sense. Great choice there. I'm going with a lyric from a song introduced to me by my partner, Riggs, that I have come to absolutely love from an artist called Mitski. If you've never heard of that person, she's a wonderful musician and songwriter. But there's a song that Mitski has that's essentially from the perspective of somebody who knows that they consistently break the heart of their partner, right? And I thought about this in terms of the offense as well, right? You'll get it when I say the lines, or rather sing the lines. You'll get how it's very much related. Imagine the offense speaking to the rest of the team, right?
I can imagine them standing up and having to like address the starting rotation in shame.
Oh, they should do it. They should have to sing this song to the rest of the team as a unit, right? It goes like this. So I'll be the loser in this game. I'll be the bad guy in the play. I'll be the water main that's burst and flooding. You'll be by the window only watching. And I'll be the only heartbreaker. That's the line from... Yeah, oh, it's a very popular song. Okay. And so in my mind, the offense perfectly embodies this because in most games for the Royals, they are the only heartbreaker. They are the loser in this game. They are the bad guy in the play. They're the water main that's burst and flooding. Everyone else is just by the window, only watching.
Yeah.
Royals Weekly is brought to you by Eric Oxer of West USA Realty. Do you have the same fantasy Mike and I do? Retiring to a land of eternal summer? If so, you need to call Eric Oxer of West USA Realty pronto. He can help you transition to a lovely home in the Phoenix area and a life of fun in the sun.
My type of fun usually involves legal proceedings, but there are other ways to do it.
There are, yeah. Mike is nothing. Eric was one of the top real estate agents in the Phoenix area to end 2024 because he gives all of his clients a personal experience focused entirely on their needs. With Eric Oxer of West USA Realty, it's not about him, it's about you. He's there to listen to you, work for you, and guide you through the ins and outs of buying and selling in the Phoenix area.
For example, you want to make sure you get a house that has all the walls that it's supposed to have. Yeah. Just a little insider knowledge there.
Mike's bought many houses. Find Eric Oxer of West USA Realty online at ericoxer.com. That's ERICKAUXIER.com. Or just give him a call or shoot him a text at 480-383-9745. That's 480-383-9745. If you're at all interested in what a life in the Phoenix area might hold, let him make the experience all about you. We're not even 30 games into the season yet, and we're already seeing some changes that Royals fans hope will set this team on a course for the playoffs once again. In the next week or two, it might be time for a few more of those changes. For this week's Spotlight segment, we're going to offer 4 big changes the Royals need to make to compete for the division for the AL Central. They're currently 4.5 games back of the Tigers, so no time to waste. The Tigers are playing pretty well. Mike, what's the first big change the Royals need to make to get on a course that will help them win the division?
Before I say that, I was surprised to learn the Tigers have the best record in Major League Baseball. Did you know that?
Yeah, they're doing well.
Gosh. Ugh, it drives me crazy. Didn't think the offense would be able to do what it's been doing. Anyway, my first big change is one that we've talked about, and this will be, I don't think, any surprise to a lot of people who listen to the show. We got to ditch Hunter Renfroe. It's time to cut it. Buy $6.5 million. Buy Hunter Renfroe. You got some coin. Keep a stepping, keep a walking. Okay. Let me say why.
Let me just say, hold on. Let me just say, congratulations on making all the money. Go play golf and have fun.
Yeah, man. And you got a new baby at home. Go help your wife with a new baby.
Yeah, sounds great.
Here's his slash line, by the way. 177. That's his batting average. 257 for his on base and 210 for his slugging percentage. He has a lower slugging percentage than he does an on base percentage. Okay. He has 0 home runs. He only has 2 extra base hits. And you might be going, well, he didn't get to play that much. He's played in 21 games. Now, some of that's pinch hitting, but he's played in 21 games. I think they've only played 29. And so that's a lot of playing time, right? He's got, almost 70 at bats.
It's a lot of playing time to only have 2 extra base hits for a right fielder. Yeah.
For for your power hitting right fielder. Yes. So here's another brilliant set of statistics for old Hunter Renfroe. He's got a 29 weighted runs created plus. He's 71% worse than the average hitter right now. Oh, but he's such a good outfielder too. He's also -1 on outs above average.
Which is tough because that's kind of an accrued stat over a season. Yeah. And so like to be -1 already means he's on pace to be about -5, 6, 7, something like that.
Especially when you've only played the field in probably 18 games, 17 games, something like that.
Yeah.
His expected numbers, you might be going, oh, well, maybe he's just getting bad luck like Salvi was. His expected numbers are all under the 5th percentile.
Real bad.
Yeah, they're some of the worst in the league, okay, especially for a person who plays almost every day. And so it is time to cut the cord on Hunter Renfroe. At this point, if you get major league average, it is so much better than what he's giving you. You have to do that. You can't continue to roll him out there and think that things are going to be different for a 33-year-old outfielder that isn't that great of an athlete to begin with. Yeah, no, see ya.
Yeah, that's. I think we could categorize Hunter Renfroe under sort of the umbrella of addition by subtraction and throw Chris Stratton in there as well. Like, the type, and that's the point you make really, which is that, yeah, you could replace him with league average and be a significant improvement. You could replace him with 80% of league average and be a significant improvement over this, right? So like, math is not tough. If you're 80% of league average, subtract 29% of league average, that's still a 50% improvement, right? Or 51% improvement. Mm-hmm. Huge difference for the Royals in terms of their offensive output and defensive output. It's not hard to find a defender who can be a neutral defender in right field, a sort of like 0 outs above average all season. Not hard to find that guy for right field in Major League Baseball. There are a lot of guys who
you can put Kevin Biggio out there. He's probably a 0,
absolutely,
or a +1.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin Biggio could do it. Obviously, Drew Waters can do it. I think Nick Loftin could do it personally. We know Maikel Garcia could probably do it just because his athleticism will allow him to track down enough balls in the outfield. And so there are a ton of guys just on this roster who could do it. Mark Canha could do it. Not a problem at all. I'm sorry, Mark Canha. Sorry, again, I can't get this right. But yeah, this is just a great form of addition by subtraction here, and will actually do a lot of good, even if they're just replacing Renfroe with people who are already in the organization. My first big change, this will be our second big change overall, is kind of related to this, honestly, and that's make Nick Loftin and nearly an everyday player, right? I'm not saying you should play absolutely every day. I'm saying that you can put him in enough advantageous situations to play him 4 or 5 times a week and get the benefit of what he's going to provide offensively. Our great friend of the show, Alex Duvall, put out a tweet today that compared him a little bit to Kevin Biggio, in that Loftin has moved to an approach similar to Biggio's that swings less than almost anyone else in baseball. So guys like Biggio and Loftin are going to swing far less than other players. And Biggio right now has a 349 on base percentage, by the way. But Loftin has a much better zone contact rate and also contact rates generally. So his batting average should be higher than Biggio's, and his strikeout rate should be significantly lower than Biggio's. Biggio strikes out like 20 to 25% right now. Nick Lofton, 10.5% roughly in AAA right now, striking out. So he's the type of guy who, yeah, he might benefit from the 15 to 20% walk rate that a Biggio will put up, but he's going to hit a lot more than Biggio will. He's currently hitting as a slash line, 307 as a batting average, 485 as an on base, and 453 as a slugging down in AAA. I think it's very reasonable to predict for him a 250 batting average, a 360 on base, and a 390 slugging in Major League Baseball. That's a 750 OPS, and that would rank 4th on the Royals as a team.
Now, I want you to think about this. Here's my response to that. Think about that instead, like replacing Hunter Renfroe with just that very, kind of not average, but slightly above average slash line and OPS. You're taking a massive leap forward. You've changed your lineup if you do that. Okay. Now, if you can do it twice, because you've got more than one player that's like this right now, Royals. Right. Okay. If you can do it more than once, then you've done it even more. And so, yeah, I'm a big fan of this idea. I at least want to see it because, like we said before, it doesn't hurt you. It cannot hurt you in any way because what you're getting now is as bad as you can get pretty much in Major League Baseball. And so bring this guy up. He's younger. He gives better defensive opportunity. He's faster. He's something to look at. I mean, he's something different than what you got to watch out there from Hunter Renfroe every day and some of these other guys. So I'm all on board for Nick Lofton staying up here when he gets a permanent opportunity.
Yeah, and if you think about him as a replacement for Renfroe, he's right-handed just like Renfroe. Renfroe's contract is up after this season. They're not bringing him back, obviously, right? Like, and so what are you doing here? Like, it really hurts nothing at this point, absolutely nothing. And you get more.
Yeah, that money's already spent anyway.
More in the field. That money's gone. It's gone. Yeah. And so, what's the point? Mike, what's your next change that the Royals need to make?
This one might be slightly controversial because I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it. But send Michael Massey down. Okay, send him down. He's got 3 options left, so he's got plenty of options. No problem there. You send him down, and you let him work on his approach and get to a place where he's just not so aggressive. It has to be that way. I mentioned it earlier. You cannot have that level of aggression unless you have some sort of elite attribute. Okay? You are a plus power guy. You play a plus defensive position very well, something like that. Or you do, as we mentioned before, your ability to contact a baseball is just insane. And so you get random hits because when you swing at everything, you're going to knock a couple of those for hits. Right now, his slash line, 196 for a batting average, 214 for an on-base percentage, and 228 for a slugging. He's only got 3 extra base hits, and he's played more than Renfroe has. Okay? 2 walks to 18 strikeouts.
Ooh, that is rough.
Yeah, that's bad. He's -2 and outs above average at second base so far. Okay? So the defense isn't there either. Get ready for this because this is the lowest I've ever seen.
Not the lowest I've seen.
15 weighted runs created plus. 85% worse than average for him. He cannot be successful in Major League Baseball being as aggressive as he is. And you got to send him down. You got to specifically work on that. Obviously they can. Nick Lofton's done it. He was that kind of guy, right? Send Massey down there. See if you can't get him in a similar. He doesn't need to be that, averse to swinging, but it's got to get better so that the power will play. It doesn't play if guys can just throw balls on below the zone and in the outer third, and he's going to swing at him every time. And so that's what I would do. And that's really the replacement that I was thinking of for Nick Lofton would be like a send Massey down and Lofton becomes essentially your everyday second baseman.
Yeah, that could work. It could be either Lofton there or India there, and Lofton plays left field. There are a lot of different.
They will not let Jonathan India play second base, and I have no idea.
I do not understand that at all. But
did you see him in left today?
He didn't look great. I think people are overblowing some of the ball that he quote unquote kicked. They're like, oh, he should have gotten to that. No, he shouldn't have. Like that ball was in the gap.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the throw that he sailed the cutoff. Now it didn't end up costing a run. But he's throwing a ball back in on what should have been a routine single.
Right.
He almost overruns the ball.
Yeah.
And then on the throw back in, he overthrows the cutoff man. The guy takes second. I
Yeah,
mean,
he
it
doesn't
was.
look he doesn't look great. And in a more perfect world, if you give me a chance to sort of perfectly set up their defensive alignment and everything, I'm putting Michael Garcia at third base every single day. I'm putting Jonathan India at second if Massey's rotating out or going down, and I'm putting somebody like Nick Lofton, Mark Canha, whoever in left field, right? But they don't consult me for these decisions. I think the Massey going down thing sadly makes sense. They're transitioning to a team that's moving away from hitters like Massey. They just don't like the hyper aggressiveness. Look at Michael Garcia, who has changed his approach at the plate, which I detail in today's Substack, and as a result is getting better power outcomes, walking more, getting more extra base hits, all that sort of stuff. That's what they want Massey to be. Lofton has also made that transition. Now, Lofton's profile is different than Garcia's because he doesn't have as much raw power. And so he's trying to take more walks, get on base, be a table setter, but he's also pulling the ball quite a bit more, forcing guys to come into his best hitting zones. That's what Alex Zumwalt and the team has always said that they wanted from guys, but Massey has never really got on board with that. He's never really forced pitchers to come into his power zones. He's never really laid off pitches on the outer third early in counts. Like, that's just not who he's been. If they can get him down to AAA and teach him that, then you get a much more consistent hitter when he's ready to come back up. But right now, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get month-long stretches of absolutely nothing from Michael Massey because he is unable to just lay off pitches that he should not be swinging at in that context.
Now, can you do one thing for the listener out there? Why is it okay that Bobby is as aggressive as he is and not Michael Massey? Explain that for them, Mark.
Okay. One, Bobby should be less aggressive than he is. If Bobby had an approach that was less aggressive, we would see more power outcomes from him. But he can be more successful than Massey for two reasons. I would say he has roughly the same hit tool as Massey, but Bobby Witt Jr. produces a lot more raw power than Massey does. As a result, when Bobby Witt Jr. hits a ground ball back up the middle, it's going 110 and is going to get through the infield. When Bobby Witt Jr. hits a ball the other direction, it's going 107 and is going to be a line drive, right? Like, Bobby Witt Jr. is much better at producing, getting on plane with the ball and hitting it really, really hard at like a line drive as opposed to like popping it out or hitting a weak ground ball. And so Bobby Witt Jr.'s just innate raw power and his ability to sort of get on plane with those pitches that are higher than he should be hitting, lower than he should be hitting, or whatever, allows him to produce better outcomes than Michael Massey will get. And so it's okay if Bobby Witt Jr. wants to do that. He can be a 900 OPS hitter having the approach that he has now. If he had Aaron Judge's approach, he would be Aaron Judge as a hitter, right? That's how good he would be. Our fourth change also revolves around the hitting. Not surprising, since it's the thing that needs the most improvement. For our fourth change, I would park Vinny in the bottom half of the order for now and rotate him more out as he finds his timing and starts to get things going. I think we've seen some indicators during this Houston series that he's having better plate appearances, calming down, swinging less, doing the types of things that we're talking about he needs to be doing. But the numbers so far have just been atrocious. He's 188 batting average, 259 on base, 327 slugging. He's something like a 58, 53 weighted runs created plus. I'm encouraged that he might be finding it, but you can't park him in the middle of that, in the heart of the order, because like you get situations like today where India and Bobby will get on base and then Vinny comes up and it's like, okay, we need you to move the runners. We need some sort of positive offensive outcome. And he strikes out or he pops one up on the infield. And it's like, like you're crushing what little opportunity you have with that poor performance. Get him further down in the order, let him get comfortable with where his swing is, let him get his timing down. And then when he's looks like he's really producing full tilt, move him back up in the order.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I thought the home run looked promising. One, the at bat looked promising, but then two, that has been a ball in that space, in that spot that he has been just pulling foul all year long. He was able to keep that one inside the line, and I think that might be an indicator that his timing is a little bit better than what it has been. Today, he did look kind of overmatched against Hunter Brown, but most of the lineup did. But he needs to get to a place where he's taking more pitches, where he's honestly, it just seems like a timing thing, like you said, and that's hard because you don't have time to just sit there and let him work on it. Like you don't, and you don't really feel like you can send him down because I don't know that there's a smart option to replace him, and you never know when
No.
he's just going to turn it back around. So, I there's really only one option, and I think it is just to move him down and get other guys in there. I think we're underutilizing Mark Canna. I think he's the perfect kind of guy that you use to give these guys time to get ready.
Yeah, he is.
Because he'll play left field or he can play first base or he can DH, and then you're getting a level that's at least average. You're getting at least a guy who's going to get on base a little bit and slap you some singles. While you park Vinny down at 7 or 8, you can put him in the 3 or 4 spot or whatever you have to do, and know you're getting a competent at bat, and know you're going to get some chances to knock in Jonathan India and Bobby Witt Jr.
Right. And if you want that hitter to be a lefty, put in Biggio, right? Like, Biggio can play first as well, and he can DH and he can do all these sorts of things. And so, there are options to rotate Vinny out a little bit more until he can get his timing down. Of course, you still have to play him consistently because to get your timing down, you have to face live pitching. But, you don't have
But
to
you
expose...
only play him in the situations that are most advantageous for him.
Right, exactly.
Right?
And then let him gain that confidence, let him get that timing, and then he's an everyday middle of the order bat again when he figures it all out. Royals Weekly is brought to you by All in Physical Therapy, who are happy to announce that they will soon offer strength and conditioning programs for youth athletes. Starting in June, they'll offer strength and conditioning for athletes who want to gain an edge on the football field, basketball court, or baseball field.
I'm trying to up my max on the Romanian deadlift. Got a big ballet recital coming up.
Hey, ballerinas are athletes. I've seen them. Mm-hmm. And of course, All In still offers the best in recovery from total joint surgeries and sports injuries with offices in Blue Springs, Lee Summit, and Belton. They'll help you take care of your recently replaced hips, knees, shoulders, elbows, you name it.
I need some new ankles too. Mark me down for some new ankles there, Tommy.
I'm not aware if there is ankle replacement surgery. Is that something they replace? I don't
know,
but
mine pop when I walk up the stairs all the time. I know that.
So Mike is due for one. If you're interested in reaching the peak of your athletic performance or getting back to 100% from an injury, check out All In Physical Therapy at allin-pt.com. That's allin-pt.com, or give them a call at 816-427-5300. That's 816-427-5300. After an off day on Monday, the Royals hit the road for an AL East road trip with a 3-game series against the Tampa Bay Rays and Baltimore Orioles. Mike, tell us about the former home of Matt Quatraro, the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, and I think the boys are going to be playing what? Are they playing in a minor league park now? What are they doing down there?
They are
spring training facility.
Yeah, or maybe it's a spring training facility.
Minor league
ballpark is what the A's are playing in.
Yes, after tropical storm or hurricane got the old what was that?
The trop.
Got
the trop.
It blew the baggie right off the roof. All right, blew the tarp right off the roof.
Yeah. I did. It was wild.
Yeah, I don't think they're going back there either. The Tampa Bay Rays at 14-14 are third in the AL East. Okay, that first game should see Michael Lorenzen. I did it against Taj Bradley, a 24-year-old righty out of Reedon High School in Georgia. I think it's Reedon. 5.08 ERA for Bradley and a 1.38 WHIP. He's got a 4-seam fastball that goes 96 to 97, a cutter, a splitter, and a curveball. His expected ERA is actually better than his actual ERA. It's at 3.65, which is pretty good. So he can't have an issue with walks. So maybe we should be patient. It's a novel concept for this team sometimes, but a little bit of patience will go a long way against Taj Bradley. And I've really liked Michael Lorenzen. I think he's looked not only good this year, just a real steal at the end of last year and then coming into this year. So great work by J.J. Piccolo to bring Michael Lorenzen back. In that second game, that is the Reagan's spot. Reagan's dealing with a little bit of a groin issue. Okay. So we're not sure. There is no announced starter for that second game right now. But for the Rays...
I will say that they could, if they wanted to, move Lugo up because they've had the day off. So he would just be on regular rest, Lugo would be. And so then it might be Lorenzen, Lugo,
skip
Waka,
his start.
Just skip Reagan to start if they want to do that.
Okay. So that's a possibility. And that'll be against Drew Rasmussen in game 2, whoever goes. 29-year-old righty out of Oregon State. Go Beavs. 2.10 ERA and a .90 whip. He's got a cutter, a four-seamer in the mid-90s, a sinker, a sweeper, a curveball. Throws the cutter and the four-seamer and the sinker about 85% of the time, all pretty evenly. Good pitcher, Drew Rasmussen. So that'll be a tough matchup. In that third game, possibly Lugo, if they stay on track with what they have now, versus Shane Baz, 25-year-old righty out of Concordia Lutheran High School in Texas. 2.45 ERA and a .99 whip. Again, fastball 96 to 97, a curveball, a changeup, a slider. He's drastically improved his strikeout rate by about 10% this year, but he can give up some hard contact. So hopefully Lugo can be as good as he was in that Houston game as we go into Tampa, because that's 3 solid pitchers for Tampa, because they always have solid pitching. So we will see how that goes.
Yeah, like us, I think struggling to produce runs some this year, but the pitching's always there for the Tampa Bay Rays. After that, they're headed off to Baltimore for another series against the Orioles. Remember, they took the series from the Orioles earlier in the year. Here at I believe it was here at Kauffman. I think I'm not 100% sure on that. The Orioles have struggled this year. They're 10-17, which is last in the AL East. Offensively, they're not as robust as they have been in the past. Only a 102 weighted runs created plus as a team, which is 13th in Major League Baseball. They're getting excellent seasons from Cedric Mullins, Ryan O'Hearn, Royals legend, and Ramon Urias. Cedric Mullins has a 186 weighted runs created plus. O'Hearn has a 168, and Urias has a 139. Getting some decent seasons from Jackson Holiday and stuff, but they're really not seeing some of their boppers really haven't started hitting yet. And so we'll see what their offense looks like rolling into there. But the real problem with the Orioles, their pitching. It has been atrocious this year. They have a 5.28 ERA, which is, as a team, which is 30th, dead last in Major League Baseball. They're getting pretty good years from Zach Eflin, who's only got a couple starts so far this year, and Tomoyuki Sagano, who we faced last time.
He throws like series. 45.
He doesn't throw very hard, but he carved up the Royals last time.
That's true.
But those two are pitching pretty well. Everyone else in the rotation has been awful up to this point. And so we'll see what the Orioles are like in that series. Hopefully we can catch some of their worst starting pitchers and take another series from them. We'll end this week's episode like we end every episode with the Just About Outside segment, where we talk about something that's interesting to us outside the world of baseball. We got rich lives, the both of us, and so we are, always thinking about things that are not baseball. I promise. Mike, what went on for you outside the world of baseball last week?
Oh, I was obsessed, Marky.
I
was obsessed with the old NFL draft. I love the NFL draft, ladies and gentlemen. Mark and I, we have both been into it since we were in high school. Kind of started getting into the NFL draft. And that was about a time when, it started to become kind of its own thing. Like people were getting excited in the NFL offseason about this draft. And here's why I like it. Because people will ask me, why do you pay attention to that crap? It's not even the game. I love it because in that league, the draft is still the most important thing for building a successful team. Because there is a hard salary cap, and there are so many different variables in team building and drafting and translating from college to the NFL. It's such a crapshoot, yes, yet still so important. And you get this kind of like, even without the storylines that the network ESPN builds that are kind of garbage and bull crap, even without those like human interest stories that they tell, although there was one this year that was just absolutely devastating. Derek Harmon gets drafted in the first round. His mom on her deathbed, he tells her that he's drafted in the first round. She dies that night. I mean, just brutal. But I'm not there necessarily for those kind of stories. It's just the intricacies and analytics of building a team that is so important for establishing strong franchises. It's not like that in Major League Baseball. I love the Major League Baseball draft, but it's not the same. You make a mistake, you go throw some money at it, and you've covered it up. Same thing with the NBA. And so I really dig it for that type of thing and the randomness and all that sort of brilliant stuff. You're higher than high when they take the guy that you really like, and you're all pissed off when they take the guy that you don't.
I will say that once again this year, Mike, you called a guy that the Chiefs would end up drafting.
Actually, I called several of them, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, not that I'd spoken about to you, but
that's right. You called Simmons, of course, and then you also called
Gelati to you. I spoke to
Gelati.
Gelati. Now, I didn't think the Chiefs would take him that high, but I thought they might take him. But yeah, it was just really, it's something that I love, and it was great to see. And I did want to shout out a few people who do kind of what we do, but on the football side, for the coverage that I consumed a lot in this year. KCSN obviously does a great job with their Chiefs coverage and the draft coverage. How About Those Chiefs is another podcast that did a great job on the draft. 41 is the mic, which is like a news 41, their kind of coverage of it. They do a great job. Locked On Chiefs does a great job. And then some of the national people, Mina Kimes' show always does a fantastic job with everything NFL, but with the draft as well. And then a show called Check the Mic with Sam, what's his name? Sam Monson, I think is his name.
Oh, yes.
Does a great work too. And then there's one more. NFL Stock Exchange is the other one that I watched a lot. So great work by all those people. I had a great draft season. I enjoyed it. I do like what the Chiefs did overall. Yeah.
We also really have to shout out Mike had a former player drafted in the first round of the NFL draft in the top 10.
I did. Yeah.
That's
first former player get drafted into the NFL. So Armand Membu to the number 7 to the Jets, a better kid you will not find. He is a fantastic human being, hard worker. He is the quintessential story of never give up because he was absolutely terrible. That's not a made up story that they told on ESPN. He was not good. He was not a good football player in 8th grade. I was his head coach. He was not a good football player for the first part of his high school career. I was one of his coaches in high school as well. But he, through hard work, wrestling helped him a lot, and he grew and he lifted. And he's, a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. So very cool.
Congratulations to him and all the local guys. There were several other local guys who got drafted this week. Mm-hmm. Devin Neal, I believe.
Ariante Ursery, Jacob Parrish. Yeah.
Several guys from the local area. So congratulations to them. My Just About Outside for this week is about young men. And so I know that there are some young men who listen to this podcast. And I saw a thing the other day that was talking about like young men in relationships and sort of how they're struggling to form romantic relationships with young women and things like that. And it got me thinking about that saying, nice guys finish last. Mike, have you heard that saying? I'm sure everybody.
No, I haven't.
You haven't heard that saying?
Oh, okay. Yes, everybody's heard that saying. There's a song about it, I think.
All right, great. That got me thinking about like, because it's I can't figure out like why people struggle so mightily to form relationships with romantic partners. That sounds very like privileged, I guess, in some way. And then it dawned on me that like so much of the discourse I hear around from like men about how to get a relationship with a woman, all this other stuff is really stupid, right? Like it's really dumb. Like I hear people be like, what's your opening? And it's like, why do you care about what you're opening? Like it's almost like strategic, like these, like men talk about getting with women in like a very strategic way. That's like very stupid, honestly. Like, so I want to tell any young man who listens to this podcast, like there is actually a recipe for having success with romantic partners. And it's a very simple one. And I took it from Roadhouse. Mike, you know the Roadhouse? The
classic film.
Dalton, the main character in that film, his one philosophy is be nice, right? Like that's it. That is the recipe for having success with women. I talk to a lot of women. There are a lot of women in my field, like the field that I work in. There are a lot of women just around me all the time. I talk to them, and the only thing many of them care about looking for a partner is this person nice to me? Right? Like and you will be shocked. You will be absolutely shocked at how far that gets you. Like at how far that gets you in life generally, but also success with a romantic partner or potential romantic partner. Like I've just seen so many women, and it's especially true now as more and more cases of men being the freaking worst get documented. But now women are so tired of that. What they really, really want is someone to just be nice to them, right? Like, and if you're nice to them, you have as good of a shot as you could have ever had with a woman. Okay. There are things about yourself you can't change, how tall you are, what you look like sometimes, well, but whatever. Right. But everybody I know who is nice, every man I know who is a nice man is either extremely successful with women, like romantic partners, however they want to, or they're in extremely healthy relationships with women. And it just pays huge dividends. Like, I mean, I'm not extremely attractive. Most of my friends aren't like runway models or anything. We all do quite well with women. And it's because we're just nice people. It is a very simple recipe, guys. We don't have to complicate it with stuff like, what's your opening? Like,
Yeah, but you can't
your opening
can't
is, "Don't be an
sell
asshole."
be nice on the internet, okay?
That's true. That's true.
That's
You
the
can't
problem.
sell be nice.
It's like they want a formula, and if you're not nice, right? If you're a person who never really figured out and you were raised to not be all that nice to people, then I understand why it's a struggle, right? I understand why going up to somebody and being nice and kind to them, if that wasn't modeled to you as a younger person, then that's what you need to work on. Don't think you're going to find some sort of playbook or some sort of trick, or you're going to be an alpha and women are into that. That's not how it works. Okay.
Yeah. That's just the hugest heaping pile of garbage I've ever heard. There's a reason those guys have so much time to post on the internet, right? Because they're not doing anything with anyone. And so they got time to go to the gym and, be on the internet all the time, tell people how great they are. If you want any sort of success forming relationships generally, but also with romantic partners, be nice.
Yeah.
It's that simple. That's all we have for you this week. Hopefully we get a chance to talk a lot more about winning Royals baseball next week. Until then, be good to each other.
And go Royals.